people in your life, like, man, I really want to make this work. Or family members, I really want to make this work, but man, this is hard. How do I love people when they're not lovable? If love is our ultimate goal, that we want to love and be loved, then our big question we have to ask for ourselves this morning is this. Look there in your notes. What does love require of me? What does love require of me? The challenge for us today is our society, we're going through this massive social experiment. And what's being put out there is this. Either love other people or love myself. Either love other people, but we do that and we care for other people and we're kind to other people, but it doesn't work out all the time. So maybe I need to take care of myself and love myself and protect myself because love does hurt. The truth is, falling in love, man, it doesn't take much to fall in love. But staying in love, that's a whole nother discussion. God says to us this, of anything in life, things will change. The weather changes, trends change, news changes, and they say news. It's not really new, it's really like old. And so we find this, what will not change, what you can bank on today is this. God loves you. That God absolutely adores you. That God is taken with you. God cherishes you. God absolutely loves you. We see there in Jeremiah 31:3. God says, I have loved you with an everlasting love. It sounds like a great love song, right? Everlasting love. Another translation puts it this way. We'll see this. Jesus comes along in John chapter 15. We'll go ahead and put that verse up there. Jesus says in the New Testament. Can we go back to the previous one there for just a minute? I have never quit loving you, and I never will. Thanks, Ish. I have never quit loving you, and I never will. What if you knew that? Beyond just your head, what if you felt that inside? Like, what if you knew you had support, that no matter what happened around you, you had support there for you? That you could face anything in life because you knew this promise to be true, that God never quit loving you. And we'll go to the next one in the New Testament. This, if you can go and pull that up for us, thank you. Jesus says this, and this is a challenge for us. He says, I command you to love each other in the same way that I have loved you. There's two parts of this. One of them, it's really difficult for us to wrap our minds around. And the other part, it sounds so easy. Jesus says, I want you to love people the way I have loved you. So the same way that you want to be loved by others is how we are to be loving toward others. But here's the problem, though, is that love's a feeling, right? And love, you can't force a feeling. You can't stop a feeling either, right? According to Justin Timberlake. We find ourselves, well, I don't feel like loving you. And so how do I motivate myself to love? And here's the reality, that love, in that term of the love songs, that's not really love. That's just infatuation. That's just attraction. It's like cotton candy. It's there for a minute and it's gone. But true love is a choice. To be able to command us, for Jesus to say, I command you. You can't command somebody to not feel bad. You can't command somebody to not be angry. You can't command somebody to change their feeling. But what we can do is we can find this, that love then is a choice, and that's the key to understanding this. I want you to go ahead and write this in your notes in the margin there for me, that love is a choice. Love is a choice. I can choose to love or I can choose not to love. We find in 1 Corinthians, Paul echoes these words when he says this, and this is really going to be where we're going to march through today. We're going to kind of find our way through this. Love never stops being patient. It never stops believing. Never stops hoping. And never gives up. That's what love is. So Journey got it right. Don't stop believing, right? Don't stop. Why? Because love, God's love, never fails. You can start taking track and see how many references to songs I make today. We'll just see where we go. Well, we find this, that God's love, He never quits on us. And He calls us to have that same kind of love. Why? So that we can experience a little bit of heaven on earth. Heaven is a place on earth. All right, I'll stop. We find, if you look there in your notes, there's 4 choices we have to make then when it comes to making relationships last. It's easy to get into a relationship, but then how to make it work. how to make it last. A lot of what we're going to talk about today, we're going to talk about marriage, but you can apply these principles, though, to friendships and to parenting and to any relationship, any connection that we have with people. We can apply these same principles. When it comes to making our relationships last, the first choice is this. The first one is lasting love chooses to extend grace. Lasting love extends grace. In 1 Corinthians 13:7, we find this, that love never stops being patient. So it extends grace, that there's more than enough. We live in a society of scarcity. Will I ever have enough? Will I have enough to pay for my bills? Will I have enough food in the cupboard? Will I have enough opportunity? There are enough positions at work that if somebody gets promoted and finds himself in a new position, what about me? What about my promotion? And will I have enough love from my friends and family members to feel good about myself, for my self-esteem? We find this, he says, love never stops being patient. In another translation in the Message, we find this, that love puts up with anything. It takes a beating, and it puts up with stuff. Love chooses to put up with things. We find as well another translation that says this, it patiently accepts all things, that it never stops extending grace, that there's always more to give. We find this as well, that it's always ready to make allowances. What's difficult for us is this. Maybe growing up when you were a kid, your parents gave you an allowance. And that was money, right? Money in the bank. Have you ever been in a relationship, though, where people used up all their relational credits with you, and you had no allowance to give them any more leeway, any more messing up, and you found yourself, man, I'm done. Like, what do I do? What do I do now when they've used up all the credits of trust? There are 3 times that I need to extend grace to someone. These are the most important times. So you have to look for these points, because these are the pivotal moments that either cause your relationship to grow and to thrive and to succeed and to push through, or these are the moments that we give up and we throw in the towel. And your choice, based on these moments, these pivotal moments in your relationships, depending on what you choose to do, will be a story that you'll regret one day, or be a story that you'll say, yeah, I reminisce over this because we face some really hard challenges and this moment happened. So what are these moments we need to look for? Number 1 is this: when their flaws and their faults irritate me. You ever have somebody irritate you? Just bug you so bad. Man, it's kind of like gets under your skin and just makes you want to just, get away. People that they just nag and they say things and they do stupid stuff. Man, you're irritating me. Oh, it just grates on my nerves. Don't look at anybody next to you, all right? Proverbs 17:9 says this: disregard another person's faults. When we do that, it preserves love. Preserves love. You can choose to take up an offense every single time somebody says something or does something. Or we can choose to say, you know what? I'm going to extend grace in this moment when they irritate me the most. A couple of ladies were having a conversation one day, and the one lady starts bringing up things to her friend. Hey, remember when your husband did this to you? And remember when he did that to you? And the woman says this: I distinctly remember forgetting that. I chose to forget those things. Ephesians 4:2 says, be humble and gentle by being patient with each other, making allowances. Again, there's this idea of allowance for each other's faults because of your love. If we find ourselves in our homes and in our relationships at a place where we say, I don't have enough patience for you, it's not going to take very long before all of a sudden all those allowances for all those challenges and all those things that take place, all of a sudden just kind of work us over, and all of a sudden we find ourselves saying, I can't give you any more grace. I can't extend any more allowances for you. And that's when we do what? That's when we find ourselves separating. That's when we find ourselves saying, you know what? I need to talk to maybe a divorce lawyer. I need to talk to somebody about maybe we're done. Why? Because we've stopped. Because we've hit the lid with these things. The second time when we need to extend grace the most, when they irritate us. Number two, when their words or actions hurt. When their words or actions hurt me. We find ourselves, man, you said this and you did this. A lady one time, she said, man, I got so historical over what my husband said and what he's done. And she said, you mean hysterical? And she said, no, I got historical. I just started reminding him of all the times he's messed up and said things and done things. And sometimes we get like that. We say things like, you always, you never. And what we find is this, that when we don't extend grace, we traffic in these words. That is, this is how we live life. You always are like this. And we just say this broad, a brushstroke, a kind of comment that you're always like this. And what we're really saying is, you will never change. You'll never change your ways. But here's the reality. You can jot this down. This isn't in your notes. You have to use your margins there. You can't change the people around you, but you can change you. You cannot change the people around you. Now, I know, because here's a little secret that I know about you. I read your mail. And I listen in on your conversations. And I'm kind of like the NSA and the CIA and Mark Zuckerberg. I'm listening in. And I know what goes on in your home. I know how you get frustrated. I know how you get irritated. You know what the truth is? I don't have your house bugged. I'm not reading your mail. I'm telling you about my mail. I'm telling you about my conversations. Because we're all the same. We all have those same frustrations and irritations. We all get hurt. We all take up offenses. The reason why we hurt each other is because we're not really listening to each other. We're not listening carefully and closely to what the other person says. If you listen carefully to your conversations, and if you like to study things, and you like to observe people, if you like to figure things out, why do relationships not work? That's one of my pastimes I really enjoy. Is like figuring things out, if you like puzzles. Treat this with the same idea. It's a puzzle. Listen into the conversations and what people say. When they say things like, it's not fair, you know that fairness motivates them. When you hear people say things like, oh, they're just so lazy, and you hear that they're afraid of people saying that they're lazy. When you hear people say things like, well, there's just never going to be enough, and I can't share because there's a fear that there's going to be a scarcity of resources, or there's a lack of support or lack of love. The first duty of love is to listen. And if we can listen into our conversations, we can realize, when I say those things, they really hurt even though I don't realize it. And when we say things, we talk too much and we listen too little. Bullfrogs, they found this, that when they croak, they have a muscle that cancels the noise for their brain to hear. So they can't hear themselves croak. I got some coworkers like that. And honestly, when they're talking, it sounds like they're croaking. I mean, I'd like to see them croak, like they're that frustrating. Most important verse when it comes to our marriages and marriage counseling and relationships is James 1:19. The best little piece of advice. And if you're single and you say, I want to know how to have good relationships. Everyone should be quick to listen. You've got 2 ears, you should listen twice as much. Be slow to speak and slow to become angry. If you struggle with getting angry and irritated and frustrated with people, the first step is to listen more and process through and wait to hear what somebody's saying so that we can go ahead and extend grace. Proverbs 17:9 says, love forgets mistakes. Nagging about them parts the best of friends. You want to fix somebody? And here's the problem with us. We kind of think like we're a character out of Harry Potter. If I can just wave my magic wand and say, Livio, whatever, I can make them change. If I just shake my wand at them or shake my finger at them, if I can just say the right words, they will change. And if I can just nag and nag and nag. Here's the deal. Has nagging ever moved anybody? Has it ever moved you to action? Nope. Has a guilt trip or begging, has that ever happened to move somebody? No. You say, well, if I just shout out a little louder. I heard a guy one time saying he was in a bad argument with somebody. He was shouting. And the comment after was, you just have to shout sometimes to get your point across. God never shouts at us. God comes in a still, small voice. He says, be still and know what? That I'm God, that I'm in control. Ephesians 4:2, be humble and gentle by being patient with each other, making allowance. Again, there's that word. I hope you see there's that word. If today's like Sesame Street, that's our magic word for today. Allowance for each other's faults because of your love. Because you have been so loved, because I have been so loved, I can allow for love for other people. We'll take a time out here real quick. We got a little bit of time, so I'm going to throw this in here. John talks about this concept. He says that there's no fear in love because perfect love or mature love, and that's a maturity question we're talking about today, mature love casts out fear because fear it causes torment in us. And that when we don't love a mature love, we find ourselves getting stuck. So he says that perfect love casts out fear because fear is tormenting. That fear is not made mature, perfect in love. You say, okay, like what is all that rhyming like stuff that you're talking about? It's this. Because I am perfectly loved by God, I don't have to placate to other people and do things with other people in that trying to woo somebody or trying to manipulate somebody so that I can get love back. Because you might be in a relationship right now with somebody where you're kind of, I don't know, we're kind of walking on eggs here right now. And if I say or do the wrong thing, then I might miss out that you're not going to reciprocate. If I don't love you the right way, or if I don't demand love from you the right way, then you're not going to love me or do for me. And so we play these crazy games. And so we're really hard on people, or we fear people, we shy away from people. Why? Because we're dependent on their love to care for us. We're dependent on them for filling us up, our love tank, if you will. And John says this, when you know that you're perfectly loved by God, you can perfectly love other people without any thought of return. When you have your needs taken care of, when you have your bank account is full, and you see somebody who needs some help, you see somebody on the street, see somebody stand outside of Wawa saying, hey, anybody have some extra change so I can get a cup of coffee? What do? Hey, my bank account's full. Here you go. But when our bank account's low, how likely are we to give to other people? No, not very likely because I don't have enough for me. So why should I take care of you? And so we're all running around in this world like we're beggars because our love accounts are depleted. And so we have absolutely no love for anybody else. Why? Because I have to love me because my love tank is dry. But here's the truth, that God put us into families. And God allows for us to be in relationships with each other. We need each other. We have to be encouraging each other. Why? To fill up that tank of love. The third area is this. We find when they sin against us. When they sin against us. When they irritate us. When they say things that hurt us. And when they sin against us. And this is really a tough one. 1 Peter 4:8 says, let your love for one another be intense because love covers over a multitude of what? A multitude of sins. Let your love be passionate and intense. Why? To take up for each other, to defend each other. Here's just a rule of thumb, and we got to be careful. And this is on me as much as it's on any of us. We got to police ourselves a little bit here, just a tad. If you find yourself complaining to other people about your spouse or about somebody, it's not going to take long before you're just going to start telling that story to everybody. And all of a sudden now we find ourselves, we're not covering over, we're not being careful to love in spite of what's happening. Colossians 3:13, put up with each other. Forgive as quickly and completely as the Lord forgives you. You say, but they don't deserve it. I don't deserve God's love. Neither do you. We don't deserve God's love, and yet He loves us anyway. We find in this that the key to a great marriage is the union of two great forgivers. You know what? When I married Amanda, I realized I married a sinner. She's a sinner. And when she married me, she realized she married an even bigger sinner. And the way we make our marriage work is to be quick to forgive. And to say, you know what? I'm going to choose to forgive and not hold this against you. The second choice in making love last, making lasting love, it expresses faith. Do you have faith in the people around you? Do you believe in them? Do you support them? Love never stops believing. 1 Corinthians 13:7. It never stops believing. It always trusts. It never loses faith. If you can't learn to trust people, you will never learn to love people or be loved by them. If you say, I don't trust people, you will never, ever have the capacity then to love or be loved. Because love is vulnerable. And love puts yourself out there. And love takes risk. But you say people who put themselves out there, they're foolish, they're gullible because they get taken advantage of. As soon as you stop trusting, you stop loving. And as soon as you stop loving, you'll stop being loved. You say, but you don't understand, Pastor Matt. You don't understand how hurt I've been by people. You know who does understand? And this is a crazy one. Delilah from the Bible, not the radio host. Delilah from the Bible. Listen to what she says to Samson. She says, how can you say I love you when you don't trust me? How can you say, she understood that concept, what we're talking about today, that love and trust go hand in hand. So you say, well, how do I begin to find trust back in my relationship? Well, there's three kinds of people in life. There are people who are gullible, people who believe and trust everyone and everything. People who just believe anything, They see something on the news and, man, that must be true. There are people who are cynical. They don't believe anyone or trust anything. Then there's a third group of people, loving people, who give the benefit of the doubt. They're not gullible in that they believe anything and everything. They're not cynical that they don't trust anything, but they're loving in that they make allowance to give the benefit of the doubt to other people. And you say, this is nuts because today, don't trust anybody today. But here's some great science some statistics for us. Psychology Today ran an article about trust and consequences. The title of the article was Trust and Consequences. And Julian Rotter was a doctor who ran some studies and ran some tests. And they found this, that the impact of trust on your behavior and personality and relationships, it's much higher and much better, and you have much better relationships when you trust people than when you distrust people. You say, that's crazy. Look at the results they found. They found that people who genuinely trust others, that they're not gullible on the one hand, and they're not cynical on the other, but they give people the benefit of the doubt, they found these four areas that are impacted. They are consistently less gullible than cynical people. Wow, does that blow your mind? So if you don't trust people and if you're cynical, you're actually positioning yourself to be more gullible and less discerning about things. That should rock your world. Number two is this, that people who are more loving and give people the benefit of the doubt actually have a higher IQ than people who are cynical and distrusting. You say, well, that hurts. Thank you very much for that. The third result they found is that people who are more trusting and give people the benefit of the doubt are far better well-adjusted psychologically. That is, their mind, their mental capacity is not stressed, strapped. That is, that they have a better well-adjustment of their emotions and their mental health. And then the fourth area is this, that they live much happier lives. Instead of running around and constantly using their mental capacity, can I trust? Friend or foe, friend or foe. They find themselves, they're much happier lives. Why? Because they're trusting that God, no matter what people do to me or say to me, I can trust God will work out for me. All these things. I want you to write this in the margin of your notes. This simple phrase. You're going to say this to yourself this week. Because of God, everything is working out for me. I want you to say that in the morning. Look yourself in the mirror. Because of God, everything is working out for me. Because of God, everything is working out for me. Instead of when somebody pulls out in front of you, man, they're trying to take advantage of me. Instead of when you're checking out in the supermarket and they ring up something and they charge you too much. Man, they're trying to take advantage of me. Instead of somebody calls you and says, hey, we're going to be late. We're sorry. Oh, they're trying to take advantage of me. And change our mindset. Because of God, everything is working out for me. And all of a sudden, when you change that simple little, just tweak that just a little bit to begin to say, I'm going to give people the benefit of the doubt. I'm not going to assume anything about them. I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. Jesus says this, when it comes to faith and trust, Mark 6, 5-6, Jesus could not do many mighty works because their lack of what? Faith, their lack of trust. Do you realize your relationships and the health of relationships, they are being capped because of your lack of trust. And when you begin to infuse your relationships with trust and say, you know what? There is relational insurance involved here. That if you mess up, we can work through this. Why? Because I'm going to extend grace. Because God has extended me grace. Because I want this story to be a great story. That we didn't part ways, that we didn't separate, that we didn't move on, that we didn't say, you know what, we have irreconcilable differences and we just can't make this work. Because here's the truth, wherever you're at right now in your marriage, your relationship, or your situation, there are people that have gone on before you who have made choices to stick it out and to hang in there and to invest and entrust and put faith into their spouse. They've made it work, and now they have the payoff of a legacy, a massive legacy, because of the choice that they made. Romans 14:19 says, let us always be seeking the ways that lead to peace, the ways in which we can support each other. What can you say, what can you do to support your spouse, your coworker, your friend? Well, what if they're not supporting me? You know, like, what about me, Pastor Matt? What about you? Remember, we set this up. We already said, God's taking care of you. God loves you. God's got you. He's got you. And here's the reality. When you depend on other people to take care of you and protect you and take up for you, who do you not allow room for in your life to take up for you? God. We don't trust God. Love always trusts and expresses faith. Coaches will tell you, in any kind of sport, they'll tell you that the best way to restore faith in a player who's dropped the ball, whether literally or figuratively, if they've missed a play, how do you restore faith and confidence that they don't get the yips, that they don't keep messing up? You give them the ball again. Give another chance. Give another opportunity. How do you make someone trustworthy? You trust them. But you might be here this morning and you say, my mind, Matt, my mind cannot go there. Like, I'm just having a hard time getting there because you don't understand my situation, and I may not. But what do you do when you can't trust your spouse, your kids, a friend, or coworker? What choice do you have? You just have to distrust them, right? Here's the answer, 3 words. You trust God. You trust God. You trust God to take matters into His hands, and you wait on God. You trust God. Because all of life, from the day you were born until the day you die, and if you have a relationship with Jesus Christ, until you go home to heaven, every single day, every single moment is a decision, is a thought, is a choice, is an action for you and me to say, I am either trusting God or I'm not going to trust God. And I can tell you from my own life experience, story upon story, that trusting God has served me better, has been a better service to me in my life than the times that I have distrusted God. When I have moved ahead and I've done things, those are the regrets when I haven't trusted God. I want you to do this. Think about this week. Think about somebody that you can express faith in. Think about somebody this week that you can express faith in. Write their name down on your notes. Elizabeth Barrett Browning, she says this, whoever loves believes the impossible. Whoever loves, they believe the impossible. It's mission impossible. Maybe your marriage right now seems like mission impossible. You're thinking like, yeah, Tom Cruise, whew, I could do with a man like him right now. Right? He's probably really easy to love. You know what's remarkable to me? I'll just throw this in here as a side note. You know what's really remarkable? You know who the biggest bachelors right now are? Jeff Bezos, Bill Gates, and A-Rod, right? Like money and looks, they don't make love last. And those are 3 guys right now. They're probably all 3. It sounds like a really bad joke. 3 guys walk into a bar. You know, who are they? They're a tech guy, a multi-billionaire, and a former baseball player. We find ourselves, who can we invest and support? The third choice is this: lasting love expects the best. It expects the best. Be careful on this. This is not something where, you have to live up to a certain standard of living in my eyes. Love expects the best. Put right next to that hopeful. Love is hopeful. You hope for the best. It's hopeful, anticipating the best is yet to come. Look for the best. Because what you're facing in this season of your relationship right now is the choices you make are just like we talked about just last week. They are seeds. They are seeds for what's to come. They are seeds for the future, stories you'll tell. The longer you're in a relationship with a person, you tend to expect the worst, not the best. You ever find that? The longer that we're in a relationship with somebody, in our marriage or a dating relationship or a friendship, we kind of assume the worst. That they're assuming the worst about me. And we want to flip that around to assume the best. There's a college professor who got a job at a college in the Midwest. And when he came onto campus and he got his assignment, they said, "Professor, we want you to teach the advanced English class." The dean of students said, "We've got you with the advanced aptitude English students." And so he walked into his class that day and said, "You are the most brilliant minds on the campus. We're going to have a great year." And so those students at the end of their last semester, as they were coming into the home stretch, they started getting grades back, and they were getting A's and high B's, and they had a fantastic year. And so the professor went into the faculty lounge later on that last day of school, and he was talking to another professor and said, "Man, I'm just so excited that I got the advanced placement college students for English." And the other professor said, "What are you talking about?" He said, "Well, I got the AP English kids for my college class to teach." He said, "We don't have any AP classes here." And so the dean of students pulled a fast one on him. And because he went in teaching that class expecting that he had these really responsible, brilliant, advanced students, he treated them that way. And the results were phenomenal. What if you went into your relationships and work relationships expecting the best? Not putting pressure on somebody, not undue pressure, but having respect for them. You know, the one thing that'll kill a relationship faster than any other is disrespect. You know, it's going to kill your marriage so fast. It's like pouring motor oil on it, is having disrespect in your relationship. We find this. And when it comes to lasting love, love never stops hoping. 1 Corinthians 13:7c. It never stops hoping. It never always expects the best. It always looks for the best, looking for things that are good and right. We find telling it like it is only reinforces the negative. If you find your temperament and your personality, I just tell things how they are. I just tell it how it is. And they just have to deal with it because love hurts. That's what Pastor Manney said. The first thing out of his mouth this morning is love hurts. And if I have to hurt you to make this right, the problem is this. When people in our relationships, when we react to each other, if you go to the doctor and they give you medication and you say, "Oh man," and the doctor checks in a week or maybe a month later, "How you doing?" You say, "Oh man, doc, I'm reacting to the medication." Is that a good thing or a bad thing? It's a bad thing. Like, I got a rash. You know, you ever watch this? I love this. You ever watch those commercials on TV and they're like, "If you have this problem, use this medication. Side effects may be," and they always, like, the narrator always drops their voice and they go super fast. "Side effects may be," you know, like I just saw arthritis medication. They're like, "Side effects may be. But you may have this stomach issue and that stomach issue, and all these different problems." I'm thinking, give me the arthritis, man. I'll take that any day over the side effects, right? But if the doctor calls and you say, "My body's responding," what's that mean? It's a good thing. That's working. And our reactions, when they can begin to pale in comparison to our response and having respect toward each other that expects the best. Tell it like it could be. Don't tell it like it is. Tell it like you talk to your kids, talk to your coworkers, talk to your spouse like it could be. Abraham, God called him the father of nations. Can you imagine this guy walking around back in Abraham's day in the Old Testament? Names were big. Names were a big deal. Kind of like the signed business names today, you know? We find ourselves with this guy named Abraham. They say, "Abraham, your name means father of nations. How many kids do you have?" "None." "What?" "But your name means father of nations," right? It's like when IHOP, the International House of Pancakes, wanted to go with IHOB, International House of Burgers. And everybody's like, "Say what?" Like, "Stay in your lane, dude. We know you're trying to be like marketing savvy," but Gideon comes on the scene. God says, "Oh, mighty man of valor." You know what he was doing? He was hiding in the back of a cave trying to make some wine. That's what he was doing, because he was going to just drink his sorrows away. And God says, "Mighty man of valor, father of many nations." And God tells Noah, "You're going to build an ark." We talked about this last week. You're going to build an ark, something you've never done before. In 1 Corinthians 13:7, the Living Bible says this: if you love someone, we'll go ahead and put it up here for us. Do we have that? If you love someone, oh, we're getting there? There we go. If you love someone, you will be loyal to them, to him, to her, no matter what the cost. You will always believe in them, always expect the best, and always stand your ground in defending them. If we begin to do this in our relationship, how would this change the dynamic of our relationship? 1 Thessalonians 5:11 says, encourage each other and build each other up. That you are building up this person's life. Satan's favorite 4 words are this: you can't do it. You can't do it. If somebody says to you, you can't do it. If you say to your spouse, you can't do it. It's just not possible. You can't do it. The challenge for us is this. We say, I don't want to set them up with false hopes and expectations. Here's the deal. The world around us, there are plenty of people who are going to be mean enough and hard enough on your kids and on your spouse and on your coworkers. Your little bit of encouragement to them is going to level the playing field. We all want to deal with a level playing field, right? If you ever played sport, played soccer at all, I remember in high school I played soccer, and the one end of the field was kind of downhill a little bit. It was horrible. So we were so glad at halftime when we switched, we were able to be on the upper hill to be able to kind of come downhill then instead of having to go uphill the whole game. And your relationship with people, giving them a little bit of encouragement, encouraging them, and saying, hey, you can do it. You can say, but what if I'm setting them up for false expectations and false hope? It's okay. Because they have to have just at least one person in their corner. You need one person in your corner. Do you want to surround yourself with people who are know-it-alls that say no all the time? Billy Joel, read this week. This is awesome. I love this. Be a Billy Joel. Billy Joel, the front row of his concerts, he tells his promoters and he tells the arena, don't sell the tickets in the front rows. Billy Joel's tickets usually go for $100 to $150. And he says, don't fill in the front rows, save those tickets. Because what was happening early on in his career, scalpers would buy up those tickets and they'd sell them at 5 or 6 times the cost. And the people that would buy those tickets were kind of like, yeah, we're kind of into Billy Joel, but we're not really into Billy Joel. And so they'd sit in the front row and they'd kind of leer at him and they'd smug. Play us a song, Mr. Piano Man. Play us a song tonight. Like, you know? And he said it really sucked. Like you'd have all these people who were just kind of like, just lousy fans. They weren't really fans. It was just, hey, I scored a Billy Joel ticket because they could go brag to their friends about it. And so he said, no more. So what he did is he told his roadies, he said, stand in the back of the arena, and I want you to watch young fans who are young and hungry with hustle, who have really lousy seats, but are super excited. You know, the ones with the foam fingers, and the ones that have the neon stuff all over, like, yeah, really excited. And he said, walk up to them and tell them, hey, tonight's your night. You got a front row seat. He said that changed everything. He'd rather play to a crowd who was fan favorites than people who are just sitting by. And for you right now, you need to be in the front row of the people in your life. And if you can't be there in the front row of the people in your life, get out then. Because that is not a healthy relationship. That does not have a healthy home. It does not have a healthy workplace. It is not a healthy way to live. Because what happens is this. The day is going to come when that stage is going to flip around and you're going to be the one on the stage, the one who needs fans and the one who needs help. And if you treat people with disgust or disrespect or just ignore people, then people are going to reciprocate that back to you. They can feel that vibe. Be a fan. Every time you encourage somebody, you kill those doubts in their mind that they already have. The number one killer of love in a marriage, it's not financial debt, it's not adultery, it's not anger, it's not hatred, it's just neglect. It's just not spending time, it's just not paying attention, it's neglect. Here's a poem for you just to think about and consider. If I knew this was the last time I'd see you fall asleep, I'd tuck you in more tightly and pray your soul to keep. If I knew this was the last time I'd see you out the door, I'd hug and kiss you one more time and call you back for more. If I knew this was the last time I'd get to share your day, I know I'd make certain that it didn't slip away. We assume we'll always have tomorrow to correct an oversight, that we'll always have another chance to make everything all right. There'll always be another day to say that I love you. There'll always be another chance to say, what can I do? But just in case that I might be wrong and today is all I get, I want to say that I love you so that you will not forget. That tomorrow is not promised, that we'll see another night. Today could be my last chance to love and hold you tight. Instead of waiting for tomorrow, show your love somehow. For if tomorrow never comes, you'll wish you'd done it right now. That you didn't take the extra time for a smile, a hug, or a kiss. Instead, you found you were too busy for that one that you now miss. Hold your loved ones close today and whisper in their ear and say, I'm sorry. Please forgive me. You're the best, and it's okay. So if tomorrow never comes, you will not regret today. The best time to give somebody flowers isn't when they pass away. The best time to say something good about somebody isn't at their funeral. The best time to give flowers, to love, is right now. Do it right now while we have the chance to. I must choose to expect the best and to give people the benefit of the doubt. Who are you going to give the benefit of the doubt and expect the best from this week? I want you to write their name in the margin. I'm going to give this person this week. I'm going to expect the best. I expect some hope. Number 4, as we wrap up then. Lasting love endures the worst. It endures the worst. Love never, ever, ever, ever gives up. Love never gives up. It endures through every circumstance. Love always perseveres. Love never looks back, but keeps going to the end. You say, but I can't afford to take time to work on this relationship. I can't afford marriage counseling, or I can't afford to spend time with my kids. I'm too busy. I can't afford to take time in my workplace. I'm like, it's awkward. Like, who does that anyway? You do it. You change it. You be the one to be the change agent. Why? Because it's always more rewarding to restore a relationship than to run from it. It's always more rewarding to restore a relationship than to run from it. And so write that down in your notes. I don't think it's there for you. Go ahead and write that down. It's always more rewarding to restore a relationship than to run from it. Why? Because we all know, we've all had moments where we ran from a job, we ran from a friendship, we ran from a marriage, maybe even. And to stand here today and say, I have absolutely no regrets about that, we not be telling the full truth, will we? We find ourselves to restore our friendships, restore our relationships, to not give up on people. Why? If you find yourself through this whole talk this morning coming back to why? Why? What's in it for me? Why? I want to throw this out to you. Jesus has never given up on you. Maybe you can't see it, maybe you can't feel it, but he has never, ever give up on you. Job 6, verse 14 says this, when desperate people give up on God Almighty, their friends at least should stick with them. Job had some real tough stuff he was dealing with back there in the Old Testament. But the statement was this, even when somebody gives up on God, at the very least, as a good friend, come alongside them and stick with them. Even if your spouse has given up on God, even if your friends have given up on God, even if your kids have given up on God, to stick with them, at the very least, stick with them. That's why small groups are so important. At Greater Philly Church, we talk about small groups. We've got a small group that we're in on Tuesday nights that we have. And you say, well, should I come to your small group, Pastor Manney? If you want chaos, it's beautiful chaos. But if you want chaos, yeah, show up to my house on Tuesday nights at 7 o'clock, and it's chaos. You say, well, okay, I don't like chaos. So then what do I do? All you have to do is find a couple people. Are there any friends that you have? Are there any coworkers that you have? Family members that you have? A small group can be as small as 2 people. It's not ideal, but as small as 2 people. You can be you and your spouse. Or 3 people. 3 are better than 2. 4 are better than 3. 6 are better than 4. 10, that's going to be too many. But a small group, you get together with some people and you say, you know what? We're going to watch Pastor Matt's message, and I may fast forward, and I may nudge you a little bit to make sure you get the point that I heard that I wanted you to hear too. And we're going to look through these notes. There's questions to talk about. Let's talk about this stuff together. You know what our small group is like? We watch a video from YouTube or Facebook. We watch something online for maybe 15, 20 minutes. But the majority of the time, I'll just go here. About 6, what time do you show up, Jen? Like, Jen shows up earlier and earlier and earlier. And she's like, she's got a key to our house now. She'll show up at like 6:15. Yeah, 6:15. And we'll hear a knock on the door. Pastor Matt. It's my buddy Bryson. You know, he just turned 4. He was so excited. I got invited to a 4-year-old birthday party. And I had an awesome time. I looked like a maniac, but I had an awesome time. So he comes in my house, and he gives me a big hug. Hi, Pastor Matt. And Leah comes in. Usually, like, Leah, what'd you break this week? You know, it's kind of how it goes. We've got food in the kitchen, and it's that smell that our house, like there's food smell that just kind of cooked into the walls, kind of like your grandma's house. And you got the smell, and we sit down and we talk. How was your week? It sucked. Why? Because this or that. How was your week? Man, I finally broke through this area, this thing. And Gina and Aisha, they come rolling in with their girls, and we have a great time. The kids go and play, and we eat together so we can kind of not be hangry the whole time. If you have something to drink, something to eat, and just kind of relax. And then we say, okay, let's talk. What's going on? We get involved in each other's lives. We kind of needle a little bit, and we listen a lot. We sit around. Why? Because life is too hard to go through by yourself. Life is too tough. You know what? It's to get to what I just explained to you. It's taken us 6 years? It's been tough. It's been awkward at times, really, honestly. We just kind of sit there, and the first couple of times we just kind of stare at each other. I was like, okay, let's pray. You know, we work through it. But now, there's certain people, I won't mention any names, but they just won't shut up in our group, Aisha. And so sometimes it takes a little bit of time, you know? But it's good. It's good because what we're doing is we're watching our kids grow up together. And we're growing together as couples. And I wouldn't trade anything for that in the world. And you can have that when you begin to invest in your relationships with people. And you invest in people's lives. And it doesn't take long, just a couple hours a week. Spending time tracking with people and saying, I care about you, and knowing that they care about me, to encourage each other. I want to show you one more picture, and then we'll wrap up. This last week, we went away, and we spent 7 days at Uncle Bill's Pancake House. No. We went away down to Sea Isle City, and then on Saturday morning, just yesterday, we finished up at Uncle Bill's Pancake House, and they just about had a heart attack because the place was already packed, and we came rolling in with our crew and all those little hungry faces. But what I want you to see there is this. There's, 15 people there. That group of 15, that family, started with 2, and 2 became 5. And then those 3 went on to do life and to graduate from high school and go into college and get careers and jobs. And this, in a couple more years, in 2024, will be 50 years in the making. That's 50 years in the making. And it's a lot of sleepless nights. That's a lot of heartbreak. That's a lot of discussions. That's a lot of disappointment. It's a lot of unmet expectations. It's a lot of, I'm sorry, please forgive me. It's a lot of, be patient with me. It's a lot of, shut up, sometimes. But in order to have that, replace that with a vision of what you want. To have a marriage, to have your kids come home, to have a vacation where you can go with your family. This isn't the Manneys. This is you. This is you. That's you. That is you if you decide today to fight for your family. Because here's the reality. Nobody will fight for your family quite like you do. Nobody has the guts, the determination, the wisdom, the patience, or the grace to fight for your family like you do. Schools are going to try to fight for your family, but they can't. And some other knucklehead out there, some other person's going to try to work their way into your family, but you protect your family. And they're going to fight. You know why affairs are so destructive and such a mess? It's because somebody else out there prides themselves. They don't love that individual. They're just happy that they have the self-esteem within themselves that I could steal somebody away. And here's the reality. You steal somebody away, and somebody's going to steal them away from you too. And so you stick it out, and you fight for your family because nobody else will. Don't fight with your family. Fight for your family because nobody else will. Nobody else can. It is nobody else's responsibility but yours to fight for your family from God. That is God's command to you to love your family. And when it comes to this decision, my challenge to you today is this. Choose to fight for your family. Why? Because it's the only one you got. It's the only one you got. That last point there is this. My relationship decision is this. I will decide with the interest of others in mind. I will make my choices for the betterment and the benefit of those around me. Your kids need you. Your husband needs you. Your wife needs you. That guy or that girl out there one day to be your spouse, they need you. Your grandkids who have not been born yet, they need you. They need you. Fight for your family. Let's pray.